The moment you stop explaining yourself, people don't respect you less. They respect you more. And most people don't even realize it. Most people think that if they just explain themselves better, people will finally understand them, respect them, maybe even value them more. But the truth is, the more you explain yourself, the less powerful you look. And the moment you stop, something strange starts to happen. People listen differently. They question you less. And suddenly, they start treating you with a level of respect you didn't have before. This isn't luck, it's psychology. In this video, you'll discover why over-explaining is silently destroying your authority and what really happens when you learn to say less and mean more. Think about the last time you felt the need to explain yourself. Maybe you justified your decision, over-explained your actions, or tried to make someone see your point. In that moment, it felt right, like you were being clear, reasonable, even respectful. But what you didn't realize is this: every extra explanation was quietly signaling something else. Uncertainty. And people don't respond to words as much as they respond to perceived confidence. The more you talk to prove yourself, the more it looks like you need approval. And the moment people sense that, the power dynamic shifts without a single word being said. But here's where it gets interesting. When you stop explaining yourself, you create something rare: space. And in that space, people start to fill in the gaps on their own. They assume confidence. They assign value. They begin to respect you, not because you demanded it, but because you didn't need to. And this is exactly why some of the most respected people say the least. But don't get it wrong. Staying silent isn't weakness, it's a skill. And if you use it the right way, it can completely change how people see you. Here are some reasons why you should stop explaining yourself in order to possess your power of dominance. Point 1. People respect what feels certain. The first thing that happens when you stop explaining yourself is that people start seeing you as more certain, not because you said anything different, but because you said less. Think about it. When someone makes a decision and keeps explaining it over and over, it feels like they're unsure. But when someone simply says, "This is what I've decided," and leaves it there, it hits differently. No tension, no doubt, just clarity. And clarity is often mistaken for confidence. The less you try to convince people, the more convinced they become. Point 2. Over-explaining signals a need for approval. Here's the part most people miss. Over-explaining isn't really about being clear. It's about being accepted. It's that subtle need to make sure people agree with you, or at least don't judge you. But the moment people sense that need, even unconsciously, your authority drops. Because real confidence doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't chase agreement. It simply exists. For example, instead of explaining why you did something, state it once and let it stand. The need to be understood often makes you look less self-assured. Point 3. Silence creates psychological power. Now this is where it becomes powerful. When you stop filling every gap with words, you create silence. And silence is uncomfortable for most people. So what do? They start thinking. They start analyzing. They start assigning meaning to your behavior. And most of the time, they assume the best: confidence, control, authority. Not because you proved it, but because you didn't need to. Silence forces others to interpret you, and they often elevate you in the process. Point 4. You shift the power dynamic. Every interaction has a hidden balance of power, and the person who feels the need to explain more usually has less of it. When you stop over-explaining, something subtle happens. You stop trying to earn your position and start owning it. People begin to adjust to you instead of you adjusting to them. For example, instead of saying, "I chose this because I thought it might work better," and you simply say, "This is the direction we're going," and pause. That pause, that's power. Power isn't loud, it's controlled. Point 5. You build a stronger identity. The more you explain yourself, the more you dilute your identity, because you're constantly reshaping your decisions based on how others might react. But when you stop, you become consistent, grounded, predictable in the best way, and people trust what feels stable. Not perfect, but certain. Respect grows when your actions don't need constant justification. But here's the key thing you need to understand. This doesn't mean you never explain yourself. It means you stop explaining yourself to everyone. Because the real power isn't in silence alone. It's in knowing when to speak and when to stop. In conclusion, the moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you stop asking for permission to exist as you are. And that changes everything. Because people don't respect you for how well you justify yourself. They respect you for how certain you are about who you are. So the next time you feel the urge to over-explain, pause. Say what needs to be said and let it stand. No extra words, no chasing approval, no shrinking your position to make others comfortable. Just clarity and control. Because in a world where everyone is trying to be understood, the person who doesn't need to explain stands out the most. If you want to master this level of quiet confidence and understand the psychology behind influence, respect, and power, make sure you subscribe, because the next video will show you how to stay calm, in control, and respected, even when people try to challenge you. And tell me in the comments, what's one situation where you're going to stop explaining yourself?